This economic theory could be used to pay for the Green New Deal. How is AOC going to pay for the Green New Deal? She shined a spotlight on modern monetary theory. A central element of MMT is that governments that control their own currency, like the US, don't have to worry about spending more than they collect in taxes. They can always create more money. I'm sorry. I'm going to need a slightly better argument. I'm gonna need to be convinced of this a little more. I know this article isn't doing it justice, but that's a simplification. Yeah. Kelton argues runaway prices are only a danger when demand outstrips the real resources in an economy, the people, machines, and raw materials. If there's idle capacity, MMT maintains the additional government spending does not trigger inflation. I don't know if that's true. Whatever. I'm in the weeds right now. We don't need to be in the weeds right now. That's not necessary. There's enough going on in the real world. Oh, boy. Adding money to the economy doesn't make inflation go up. Shut up. What if you added money to the economy, but only, like, secretly? You know what I mean? Like, what if the Fed printed, like, $1 trillion and didn't tell anyone? And then they just, you know, like, add $1.32 to everyone's checking account, basically. Don't, like, have a transaction listed. Just be like, everyone gets a little more money. Beep. And then inflation wouldn't go up because nobody knows that the currency is worth less. It deflates the value. Not if people don't know. Not if people don't know. When the economic activity increased, prices would rise. But isn't that definitely not true? Because the wealthy have siphoned trillions out of the economy, which they hoard in their bank accounts, their stock assets, and overseas in illegal tax havens. And that hasn't led to a deflationary effect. The Fed has still been able to control inflation pretty, like, steadily. You'd think the trillions getting taken out of the economy would have decreased. It would have decreased inflation. Would have led to, like, deflation. It would have, like, increased the value of the dollar significantly because there were other inflationary forces at play. I don't know if I believe that. Like, enough to overcome that kind of money hoarding. I don't know. What if the economy is fake? You have an IQ bell curve on this where you literally, it's like the 0 IQ take is that the economy and money are fake. And then up here you have the people who are like, no, these systems are real and you have to understand them. You can't just say it's fake. You have to understand them. It's a science. And then on the other side of it, you have the, like, well, you have to understand it, but it is fake. Like, you have to understand how it's fake, but it is fake. It's a magic trick, but, like, that doesn't mean no work went into it, you know? You can't just point at a cool visual illusion someone performs and be, oh, well, that's fake. It's like, well, yeah, it's an illusion, but something went into producing the illusion. There's a system. It's actually very complicated. Thought slime Vaush. Well, my argument is that thought slime would be on the, like, this side of the IQ curve, personally. But you know what? I shouldn't throw shots. I have no idea what they're up to these days. Maybe they're like a Hindu monk. I have no idea. I shouldn't be mean to people. What are your thoughts on Flesh Simulator? You mean life? It's going pretty good. Well, the billionaires deposit the money in banks and stocks, so it's still being circulated, just not to the 90%. But that's not true. Often, we know there are trillions that are held out of the economy. Like, a significant, huge amount of wealth is outside of the economy, completely outside of it. And even then, I would argue there should still be a deflationary effect to an enormous amount of money being hoarded in bank accounts and stocks. Because, like, that money is way less liquid than money that's being spent around by normal people who, like, buy clothes and food and rent and so on and so forth. Like, you can't meaningfully argue that I feel like the deflationary effect of that has to be substantial enough that you would see it reflected, you know, in Fed policy. But that shit isn't happening. Don't banks literally use the money in accounts for things like loans? Not that directly, and that doesn't mean it's circulating freely the way that it would if you were just using it to buy your groceries. Like, if we're talking about the relationship between liquidity and, like, transmittability of currency, like that relative to how inflationary it is, if it's not liquid and not, like, being used for anything, presumably that would have a deflationary effect. Okay, but am I cognizant? That's just not true for the money that's being held out. You're not understanding my point. That's fine. That's okay. That's fine. What you're describing is money's endogenous qualities. Do you think you're better than me just because I'm going to have to Google that word? Be honest, did that make you feel good, typing that out? Did you type it correctly in the first try, or did you, like, mistype it and then you had to look it up and then you fixed it? Fuck you. Google it? I don't want to. HGP money. Listen, okay, you have AGP money and you have HSTS money, all right? And I'm not getting into the details on it, but just understand that I'm perceiving this at a higher level than you, okay? You see, were we looking at this together? But like, I saw a video on Twitter. I don't remember if this was on stream, where a woman was bragging about a car she got, and it turns out she financed it over 12 years. And the guy holding the camera was like, "No, sweetie, no, no." 12 years should be illegal. It should. I think that I think you could make a very reasonable argument that broadly speaking, usury should be illegal, you know? The thing that sucks is that like the people who say that online are Nazis, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm anti-usury, and then they'll oppose any banking regulation because they just mean Jews. I mean usury, right? It's just one of those terms that's been thoroughly corrupted by the environment in which it's used. But really though, like it's largely socially deleterious. I do think the Fed has its place, at least in this economic system, and I can understand like you kind of need to use something to weigh, like to incentivize a hasty repaying of something like a mortgage. But God, for the most part, you can't take anti-Semites seriously, man, because they'll be like, yeah, I'm like the Catholics. I'm a base trad crusader. I'm Crusader Groiper, and I'm anti-usury, wink. And then they'll go on and be like, Donald Trump just increased the amount that banks can charge overdraft fee. Yes! House Republicans just increased overdraft fee charge limits. Yes! Now when I overdraft, it'll cost me $52 rather than just $5, which was the federal cap under Biden. Yes! I don't take him very seriously. Sorry for being ESL. What's usury? USURY. It just means like collecting interest, like making money off loaning money. Bernie Sanders admits Biden failed to tackle illegal immigration. Nyeh. Liberal senator says in interview Trump was right to crack down on fentanyl, making sure our borders are stronger. I wonder if I've felt this way about Bernie for a while, so this isn't like new for me, but I have a feeling that he hasn't updated his talking points in a very long time. And one of the reasons why he speaks so insistently on the talking points we all know him for is because he's legitimately not that up on a lot of other stuff that's going on, you know? He's had the same border talking points since at least the mid-2000s. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily him kowtowing. It's just like, I don't know. This is why he says Elon is smart. Yeah. Sorry, I had the tiniest little hangnail on my left pinky that I wanted to remove in the traditional fashion by lightly nipping it with my teeth, but I didn't want to do it on stream, you know? I didn't want you guys to be spectacle to that, so I disappeared briefly to do it. And as I suspected, it was extremely easy. I was fixating on it before, and now it's not an issue at all. Just use scissors? Are you a moron? Use scissors? What are you talking about? A teeny tiny little hangnail? You're like, I'm gonna fucking get the scissor. What are you talking about? Use nail clippers? Okay, well, I didn't want to get up and use nail clippers. This is what's wrong with America these days, okay? You people with your, what, are you like a germaphobe or something? You worried about the microbes on your fingertip briefly contacting your front teeth? What are you worried about? You have the immune system of a antebellum woman with consumption, okay? You are weak. Do you have a fainting couch in your house? Whenever you're feeling lightheaded, you just pass out onto it? Ridiculous. Unironically, yes. You people are not going to do well in the coming times. 75% of US scientists who answered Nature poll consider leaving. I saw this, yeah. We are going to get a brain drain, the likes of which greater than ever in American history? Right? I can't think of any other comparison. You have the Red Scare, and you have the Hollywood trials and so on, the blacklisting. I don't think that even compares to this, to be honest. Theory on good/evil phrenology. Left-wing people habitually make friendlier faces to be more sociable, and over time the muscle/bone makes their faces friendlier. I actually think one of the main reasons for women specifically is kind of like the Republican makeup thing. I think that, and I'm speaking very generally here because all women are subject to some pretty bullshit beauty standards with the whole, like, you don't wear makeup, people say you're tired, but men don't get hit with that or whatever. But I think that if you're a Republican politician and a woman, you are around some vile people who are 100% like leaning in on you being like you need to be beautiful or present yourself in a certain way. And because you're a conservative, presumably you're a Republican politician and a woman, you might internalize those in a way that reflects more less an authentic representation of your interest. All the plastic surgery that these Mar-a-Lago women get. You know what I mean? I don't think it's coming necessarily from an authentic interest in self-beautification, which I have nothing against, by the way. If you're a woman and you want to have some work done, fucking whatever, man. You get one life. I don't give a shit. But it's like, it seems more like they're trying to keep up with what the acceptable appearance is in a way. I don't know. I'm only speculating. But I do think you can, like, the Republican makeup thing is pretty true, isn't it? It's not just a joke. You can, like that, usually see it like pretty easily. It's not, it's, you know, it's, yeah, it's like barbifying themselves, but in a very weird way. I don't know. They're victims of that ideology, but they're perpetrators of it as well. So, broke things off with my friend with benefits. No news on my job application, and it's raining, so I can't go shooting today. But the ramen shop is open, and I'm not dead yet. Yep. And for as long as you live, there will always be the potential for more ramen in the future. Think about that. Oh, I should add that to my list of foods to advocate for you guys to get, okay? You can get like miso or curry cubes and just the pasta for making ramen. You can make delicious ramen at home for basically $0. Like, obviously, everyone knows about the cheap ramen that you can get for like 99 cents a pack that you can rizz up with an egg if you have money or like salt, pepper, whatever. But like, you can miso cubes. Yeah, little cubes of the miso flavoring that you put in warm water and it makes it miso soup, basically. Curry cubes are great. Oh, I'm sorry. I might be thinking of miso paste, not miso cubes. I'm thinking of curry cubes miso paste, though I do know that miso cubes are a thing. I recently went on a hike with my beautiful partner, who's, by the way, way cooler than you guys. And the area was still frozen. We were downstream on the river where the water was flowing. There was a waterfall, but we climbed even further up to an area that people hadn't been to very much. And we got to see the icy flow that led into the waterfall. Like, it had only partially thawed towards the end of winter. So it was like an ice shelf at the edge of the bank of the river, and then like a narrow, mostly underwater current running through it. And we could like kick at the ice on the edge of the river and kind of like kick chunks of it to flow downstream. Did you drop it on anyone? No, it wasn't right above the waterfall. There was like a dense thicket of ice and branches and turns and da-da-da. But like, it was pretty cool. A lot of it was coming off anyway.